Who's ready? Are you ready? Go! I'm glad somebody likes it. Hey everybody, it's me, Jackie Pencil. It's so funny, I feel like, so this is episode 3. It's actually like episode 3.2, which I may or may not explain in a second. But I'm here today on a nice, freezing cold Sunday. It's like 25 F out, and I said F because I'm an Anglophile, you know, as if there was any confusion. And I was like, I'm literally a spinster, literally. So I thought I would talk about the language of cronism today, but I have some other news. So, you know, I did this, you know, informal, unplanned video blog on Facebook for, you know, about 300 days of lockdown. And then I decided I want to come up with more of a theme, run it here on the YouTube. And now I'm thinking that may or may not be a good idea. I may just bail on this project, like, you know, in episode 4. We'll see. And so I feel a little bit today like I used to do poetry slam back in the 90s. I'm one of those people who's like, I helped start poetry slam or whatever. And you know, it morphed over time until everybody was reading their poem like this, in the certain poetry slam cadence, which is what that beautiful, wonderful, talented young woman did at the inauguration. And that's fine. Like, that's a style, it's a genre. But something else that a lot of spoken word poets that I've witnessed over the years have done is like, they'll write poetry about writing poetry. And so I feel like here we are, episode 3, and I'm still trying to explain what I'm doing. Thus is the challenge of the so-called, what is that noise? Hang on a second. Oh, I know what it is. I have the faucet running. I don't have any hot water right now, and I'm just hoping it's not pipes. So anyway, this is very unscripted, and in the last episode that I posted, or that Chad posted, Chad is my producer. This was all his idea. We met a bazillion years ago in a women's studies class at University of South Florida. Go Brahma Bulls. So I was talking to Chad. I sent him the other episode 3, the previous episode 3, and I was like, you know, I'm just not really feeling it. And I explained to him what I think is going on. In episode 2 and in episode 1, I was talking about how I want to talk about like how we're all misogynists, which doesn't sound very exciting, but I'm going to make it exciting. And how can I help to change the system? And I think a lot of times I could be taken out of context, or when I'm speaking in broad strokes, it sounds like I hate all men. No, I just would like to change the system where white, straight men get to oppress everybody. So I was talking about, in the last episode, how I had this, you know, really specific story that very nicely would illustrate many of my points. And I was fumbling. I was like, I don't know the best way to tell the story, which is super unusual for me because I'm a pretty good storyteller. And that's just how even if I weren't telling it out loud or writing it on the page, I put a narrative arc to things. I don't invent details, but I do look for a narrative arc. It helps me to digest stuff and feel safe. Anyway, so in all of that whole other episode that you're never going to see, I was talking about how I feel like it's important to show the math. Like, why am I here today telling you smash the patriarchy? And then it occurred to me, if you're here, if you're tuning in, you already know the math. You've lived the math. You've had a lot of your own experiences. And we don't really need to rehash another shitty experience that I had. Now, this doesn't mean I'm not going to toss out examples as this TV show goes on, if it goes on. But I'm not going to tell a linear story about a specific man, because here's the fun part. This is what I love so much. Itchy nose, hang on a second. I think that means, does that mean I'm going to get in a fight or someone's going to kiss me? Probably both, because of the puppies. Okay, now I've lost my train of thought. I'm back. Oh, speaking of trains of thought. Okay, so why don't we talk about, so I decided it's perfectly okay for me to just demonstrate my life as a crone and why I love it. And then if you're of a certain age or place in your life where maybe you're a crone and you embrace it, cool. I would love to hear from you and how you're living your, best crone lifestyle. And if you're a woman of a certain age and you're struggling with it, I would love to hear from you too. I really want this to be a conversation. My email, it's super easy. It's spikegillespie@gmail.com. spikegillespie@gmail.com. So where the rabbit hole that I've been going down lately is, I have done so much therapy, so much woo-woo stuff, so much meditation, so many retreats, so much self-help. This chair is not very comfortable. And it's so easy for me to distract myself. Now, it used to not be like that. Anyway, here I am, and I've gone through all of these things, and it turns out I feel like most of those things helped in some way, even if the process of elimination, okay, that modality doesn't work for me. But this year that I've had to be here, not entirely alone, but alone most of the time, and think and know what I really want, and I know what I really want. And I was just listening to a radio program talking about how COVID, I see a little bird on the windowsill. How do they stay alive in this? It's amazing. How COVID is COVID and any big major disaster will amplify or magnify emotions. So you're gonna see a lot of people who rush to move in, have kids, be in relationships. You're gonna see a lot of people breaking up because they're like, you know what? I've faced my mortality and I don't want to spend the rest of the time with you. Which now I can loop back to what I was thinking of. Russell Brand, in one of his books, maybe it was called, was it Revolution? Doesn't really matter. I've searched high and low for this passage. I can't find it, but it exists. He talks about how, sometime you're walking through the park and you run into somebody who, used to supercharge you because you were in love with them or you were in hate with them or whatever it was, and now you see them and you feel you're neutral, you legitimately feel neutral. You don't want to punch them in the face, you don't want to hug them, you don't want them to come forward with that apology you imagined that they might come through with. Not you're neutral. To me, that's on par with enlightenment, because it seems so far away. But I realized these stories, that one story in particular I was going to tell, is I just feel, we'll say I'm at about 90% neutrality. I still get a little bit stressed sometimes, but I just don't care. I just don't want to rehash it. I'm so happy living my life. So because I want this to be a conversation, again, please email me, spikegillespie@gmail.com. And we can share our stories back and forth, or you can write, you can tell me something you're going through, you can ask for advice, you can offer advice, I'm not going to take it, but I want to have this conversation. So the last little bit I have for you is, it was a year ago, probably to the day. I had just done a wedding the night before, and the bride had on this jacket that just killed me. I loved it. She sent me the contact information for the woman who makes these jackets. They're custom made. And I just thought, I have to have one of these. I have to. So I ordered one, very pricey. I feel like, I need to stop saying that because I've been talking about very pricey this and that. And I do, since I'm a full-on crone now, it's not that I have to spend money to like practice self-care, but I used to spend a ton of money on guys. I don't do that anymore. And that saves me like who knows how much. So when I do see something I want, I usually get it if I really want it. So I wanted this jacket, and it's so badass, right? Look at the fringe on it, okay? Like kind of like a heart. And I wanted her to put the word crone. And this one was really nice, and I felt to me like she was sort of framing it like, I don't think you're stupid, but just to be sure, what is that? Why did you choose that word? And I don't think I got really irritated with her. I just gently explained to her that, I'm reclaiming the word crone, just like queers reclaim the word queer. And I think long before crone had a negative connotation, that it had a positive connotation. And it's like, this crow, as a matter of fact, represents my cronyism. It's a great thing to be the crone, to be the wise woman, and also to be like the spinster, right? Check it out. Like I spun this yarn. So I have decided, at least this week, that it is upside down. I can tell. Hang on a second. This is so funny. I'm going to ask you to please help me get the conversation started. Are you a crone? Are you an aspiring crone? How do you feel about being a crone? What's your definition of crone? And let's get this crone party started. And I'm so psyched that I do have to talk a little bit about men to tell this story, but it turns out not as much as I feared I would. So I'm super happy. Okay, cool. See you next week. Bye.
Hey y'all, thanks a lot for tuning in. I hope you'll like and subscribe to my channel. And if you like this episode, I hope that you'll copy this link, share it with a friend, paint it on a wall, put it on your social media. That'd be great. Thanks a million. Take it easy.